In an effort to reduce costs, President Buhari has approved the implementation of a report submitted by the Presidential Committee on Restructuring and Rationalization of Federal Government Parastatals, Commissions and Agencies during the Goodluck Jonathan administration. Commonly called the Oronsaye Report, the 800-page report has recommended the abolishment and merging of 102 government agencies and parastatals. And also, momentum seems to be building in the government circles in Nigeria towards a market-determined foreign exchange management regime, which will also see a convergence of the country's multiple exchange rates. Foreign direct investment inflow has slowed down to a trickle for Africa's biggest economy, with one of the deterrents of fresh inflows being the country's resistance to having a market-determined single rate for its currency. That may now be about to change, with the clearest sign being a commitment made to the IMF that Nigeria will seek a more flexible and unified naira to respond to the external shock inflicted by the coronavirus pandemic. Joining me in the studio to share his perspective on this is Arise Business Analyst Chika Mbonu. Chika, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. As always, and happy Workers' Day. So first, the Oronsaye Report. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. It's made quite the news that President Buhari has decided to make this move. The Minister of Finance announced it, so please take it away.
I'm just saying these are interesting times for the country. The first time it was the subsidy.
Yes.
And then we talked about foreign exchange, floating in the market, and then Oronsaye Report.
Yes.
So it's just like one of our friends who was told to give up his food and diet and lose weight and go to the gym, and he said he couldn't do that.
Right.
Until the doctor told him that if you don't do it, you die in 1 month.
Right.
So the next morning he was in the gym. So for us as a country, it looks like we have no choice in some of these things now.
Right.
But the report has been on the table for, I think, 2012 or something like that.
Yes, yes.
And one of the things I will put out here immediately is that I'm happy that this is happening because government actually is supposed to be continuity. No matter what normally happens in this country is that when one party leaves the government and another party takes over, they jettison everything that that party has done, and because everything seems to be bad. But this is good for us, and it's come up there. We have already known that one of the issues in this country has been the cost of governance. And there have been duplicity of roles by a lot of parastatals, running together, and this will help us reduce the cost of governance. That report showed that there are about 102 parastatals that need to be either eliminated or merged and together to reduce the cost of governance, because most of them are doing the same thing. I'll give you an example. In this country, there's a National Ear Center and a National Eye Center. And both have their own boards, staff and everything, budgeted for every year. And so you find that now, that report says now, instead of 2 boards, we'll have a board and a lot of streamlining the resources. Maybe instead of 2 offices, they have 1 office, and that will reduce the cost of rent. Right. So there are things like that. The National Orthopedic Hospitals, there are about 3 of them. They have 3 different boards. Maybe now, the report said, let there be 1 board looking after this orthopedic hospital. So there are recommendations like that for the good of our country. And this thing has been there for a long time. And people have been saying, let's implement this. But for some reasons, they have not been done.
It didn't happen.
But happily that this is being implemented now. And we're happy that it's going to be done.
Okay, good. Now, I do have just one question. You mentioned that it's been out there since 2012. It's been a while. Government has grown since that time. So is it, that 102 number, would that possibly be increased?
At the time this report was done, there were about 542 parastatals or thereabout. Now there are about 1,000 of them.
Exactly.
So I have a feeling that also maybe the reports will be updated and before it can be fully implemented.
Okay. Yeah. And also, I believe the Minister of Finance wants to see this done.
The Minister of Finance wants this to be included, this rationalization to be done, and so that it can be focused in the 2021 budget.
2021. I think she said October.
She hopes also that this should be finished by October, so that they can be planned and included in 2021 budget.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so now to the issue of foreign exchange. Yes, as part of the now, of course, there were no conditions, though, but as part of the 3.4 billion that we received from the IMF, they did make some suggestions, and now we've seen a intent from the federal government to unify rates. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
I think one of the first things to do is let me even help our viewers and put some perspective on these several windows we have.
Yes.
One of the first ones we have is what they call the CBN official market.
Yes.
That's what they use in converting the oil proceeds into dollars for sharing by all the states and the federal government. It used to be 306. Now, with this CBN latest policy, it moved to 360. Yes. That's why the last FAC allocation, the states got more than that. It's also the rate at which CBN buys money from the international oil companies. So you have that rate. Right. Call it the CBN, maybe official market. You have what they call the wholesale rate. This is the rate at which the CBN sells to the banks. And the bank then are at liberty to sell it to their customers. Now, the amount sold to each bank depends on the shareholder fund of each bank. Okay. So there's a gradation. If you are up to 200 billion and so on and so forth, the prorata, they let you know the amount you're going to be given. And it's done weekly. Usually, $100 million is given to the banks every week. Okay. And usually the rate now is about 380 naira max. That's a retail market again. This focuses on about 4 or 5 sectors: the raw material sector, machinery sector, agri sector, aviation, and oil and gas. Oil and gas, basically the downstream, basically focusing on the diesel and the PMS. Yes. Remember, the objective here was to moderate the cost of the produce and landing. And we used to do this bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, between $250 to $300 million every given. Before, the rate was very lower than the market rate. You have the SME group. This is done through the Form Q, where they take about $20,000 every quarter. This is just meet the needs of the SMEs. Right. You have the Invisibles group. The Invisible group has to do with school fees, medical fees, and so on and so forth. Right. As a now, it hovers between 378 and 380 naira. They have the IMTOs. IMTOs, International Money Transfer Organizations. This is where our brothers and sisters, the diaspora remittances, coming here. And there are issues here because as of now, what happens is that the banks buy from these people, these are brothers and sisters, at 376, sell it to CBN at 377. And then CBN on-sells it to BDCs and make sure the BDCs don't sell it more than 380. But what happens is that the banks are the vehicle to the money coming to Nigeria. Okay. They sell 75% of it weekly to CBN and keep 25% of their collections, to use for their own trading. So these are the IMTOs. Now, I need to comment here. Yes, please. That last year, or the report has said that, or the year before 2018, about $25 billion came in through here, and Nigeria is one of the largest, receiver of diaspora remittances all over the world. Yes. Now, look at the rate here: 378, 376. That's what the banks buy from the brothers and sisters. Yes. But look at the free market rate. Free market rate is at how much? 400 or 300. So the attraction here is that people may gravitate towards and leave this channel to bring their money. So this is one of the things that they need to be corrected to attract more, of our brothers' monies into this country. The BDC is also another window, another one. Basically this, for the retail. Yes. So another one. Now the one that I need to focus on is the I&E window, the investors and exporters window. For this window is the nearest to the market rate of our currency. Is the one that's for the price discovery of our currency. Right. Basically, the FDIs and the FPIs bring their money through that channel. Yes. And CBN intervenes occasionally to provide liquidity in the market. Yes. And of course, the one that you and me know, which is the black market. Yes. But before I leave, also, let me make a comment on the I&E windows. Okay. CBN has been trying to encourage investors to patronize this market more. And that's why they came out with this policy of the 5-year OTC, over-the-counter futures, where you can hedge your rates. Yes. So at the time you're remitting it in the future of 5 years, so you can know your rate now as you're bringing your money. Right. So these are you can see the multiplicity of rates, and based on the issue is that when you have a scarce commodity, at home in those days, when the poverty is sharing a cup of rice to 10 children, you have to today it says some eat, some not eat. So this is basically demand management, basically. Trying to manage the scarce resources, scarce effects we have among the various contending units in the economy, and see which unit will get which units, and then which rates are differential to impact the economy. And that's basically what is happening.
Okay, we have only about less than a minute. Are you worried about perhaps there could be another devaluation down the line, if that's the case?
Well, you see, the thing is this. There's a fear of that. But I believe that a lot of FX demand in Nigeria is fear demand. We don't know what's going to happen in future. We don't know what's going to happen in future. We don't know what's going to be available in future. People are going to buy. People try to buy all they need now.
Right.
Even in the FX in 1 year's time. I have a feeling that if people are more confident that the dollar will be there, the rate will, the demands will be there. Yes. Yeah.
All right, Business Analyst Chika Mbonu, thank you so much for joining us to talk about the FX situation, for unification of rates, and of course the Oronsaye Report.